Hello, my name is Kyle Masi from the LTV Community Intern Project, and I am here with Ann Welker, who is running for Suffolk County Legislature. Welcome, Ann.
Thank you.
My first question for you is, what isn't in your campaign literature that would be interesting for our viewers to know?
What's in my campaign literature that would be interesting for viewers to know? That's such a good question, Kyle. I wasn't expecting that straight out of the gate. So my campaign literature consists of a couple things. It's new to us this year is a small baseball, what we call a baseball card, that's just our picture on the front side and then a few details about what we're involved in and what we're interested in or some goals on the back. We also have a larger palm card that again is a picture on the front and then more details on the back. Mine happens to have endorsements that I've received from legislator Bridget Fleming, a state assemblyman Fred Thiel, and East Hampton Town trustee Susan McGraw-Keever.
Thank you. Why are you running for this specific office position?
So I've served as a Southampton Town trustee for the past 6 years. I was elected in 2017, re-elected in 2019, and re-elected again in 2021. The opportunity arose in February of this year because legislator Bridget Fleming decided to step down from her position that she's held for the past 8 years. She's been a remarkable voice for the East End. I was approached about this possibility and it was a bit overwhelming to me at first, actually. It's kind of a big leap to go from trustee to the possibility of legislator, but
Yes.
water quality is and has been my real reason for running, and I feel as if I'll be able to carry that work on to the county. The way I got involved in water quality, actually, I'd been an active member of Surf Rider for years, but mostly at beach cleanups. But I paddleboard a bunch, and I went down to Mecox Bay one day in 2014, I believe it was, and there was a sign there that said, "Stay out of the water, harmful algal blooms." So
Wow.
that's the first time I'd ever seen anything like that in Mecox, and I'd been paddling in Mecox for years. What had happened was Mill Pond is part of the Mecox Bay watershed. Mill Pond is highly affected by harmful algal blooms, almost as much so as Georgica Pond in East Hampton or Lake Agawam in
Yes.
Southampton Village. The water flows over a dam there, and due to movement of, there had been a lot of rain that summer and it had been really hot, and so there were localized harmful algal blooms in Mecox, and that was my red flag, and that's when I started water testing, and that's really what opened my eyes to how precious our water quality is out here.
Yes, thank you. In what ways does your life and work experience inform how you work in this office if elected?
My life and work experience. So I grew up on the East End. I wasn't born here, so some don't consider me a true local. I was born in Seattle because my dad was doing his graduate work at University of Washington. My dad is a marine ecologist, and Southampton College opened. So we came back and he started the marine science program at Southampton College in the early 1960s. So I grew up on or in the water. I was an ocean lifeguard through high school and college. I mean, I'm still a body surfer and a boogie boarder and a paddle boarder. I'm not that great a surfer, so I don't usually say I'm a surfer. I can get up, but I'm a little lame. So, but those, like my just living my life outdoors is really what has led me to this position. Well, first as a trustee that I will finish at the end of this year. And what really connected the dots for me going from trustee to county legislature is the fact that I can continue to work on water quality issues, but I was constricted as a trustee by what I say, or the way I describe it is by the rack line. So the rack line, in case, I'm sure you know, but in case anyone isn't familiar, is the line in the sand where like beach glass and seaweed and shells are. So trustee jurisdiction is seaward of mean high water or the rack line, but everything that affects water quality is landward of mean high water. Pesticide use, fertilizer use, the amount of irrigation that people use, the plantings that they do, native vegetation versus non-native vegetation, and especially for me, the upgrading of our septic systems. I mean, that it's not a lovely topic, but it's a really important topic.
Yes.
In Suffolk County, we have more than 300,000 antiquated septic systems that are leaching nitrogen into both our drinking water and our surface waters, our waterways.
Wow.
That's really what the opportunity to work above the rack line is really what made me be able to wrap my head around the leap from trustee to county legislature. I
Yes.
also will work on coastal resiliency. There's a whole Suffolk County coastal resiliency plan or initiative that's focused on Suffolk County properties that are waterfront properties, that we're gonna see what we can do with nature-based solutions, so more green infrastructure rather than gray, so more vegetative rather than bulkheads
Yes.
or rocks. So on county-owned properties to see what we can do about mitigating the effects of erosion that comes with sea level rise and climate change. So those are two of the things that I'm gonna carry with me from trustee, from my life to trustee to county legislature, hopefully.
Yes, thank you. In terms of the 300,000 septic tanks that were leaking hydrogen into the air and pollutants, if you were elected town legislature, what would you do to address and tackle that issue?
So there are grants, there are funding sources for each of us as homeowners to be able to access town through our CPF, our Community Preservation Fund. That's a 2% tax on every real estate transfer. So there, you sell your house and 2% of that goes to Community Preservation Fund. And then we as voters, hopefully you soon as a voter, approved a little percent of an increase, and that part of Community Preservation Fund goes to water quality. And then on top of that, there's county money and state money, all that come together to fund the upgrading of our septic systems. And there are plans in place in both East Hampton and Southampton, and you know, I don't know the numbers right now, but both East Hampton Town and Southampton Town have accomplished much with this program. I think they have more upgraded septic systems in place than the entire rest of Suffolk County at this point.
Wow.
East Hampton and Southampton have been amazing at upgrading, working with homeowners to upgrade septics.
Okay, thank you. That is awesome to hear. Do you have any gaps in your experience relevant to this office that you'll need to fill or bridge if elected?
Gaps in experience, talk to me a little bit about that, Kyle. What do you mean by
In
that?
terms of water quality, sanitation, and local environmental sustainability, is there anything that you might not fully approach in the direction that, what if you were once elected, that you would approach?
Got it, thank you.
Yes.
So I've been a town trustee for 6 years. the gentleman that sits next to me at our meetings on our board is a fifth generation Bayman, and this is his 16th year as a Southampton Town trustee. He still says he learns something every day. So when I first heard him say that, because he has a wealth of experience, it made it be possible for me to look at the very steep learning curve that I have going from trustee to county legislature, and be okay with the fact that I'm gonna learn something every day. Because
Yes.
that's pretty much, I said yes to all of this February 22nd. And when I look back now, I've pretty much learned something every day.
Wow.
So it's great because there's been a tremendous amount of growth and learning on my part already,
Yes.
regardless of the outcome of the election.
Yes. Thank you, Anne. In terms of overall goals, if you were elected for a Suffolk County Legislature, what would you say are your main priorities?
So there was a very unfortunate vote that took place in July at the county legislature, and what that vote, so I am committed to advancing the Suffolk County Water Quality Restoration Act. It's a mouthful, but what it is 1/8 of 1 cent Suffolk County tax. So when we buy anything in a store or online, 1/8 of 1 cent of that would go towards the continuing the funding for the upgrades of our septic system. So that's one thing that unfortunately was voted down along party lines in July. And what that means is that we as voters are not able to make a decision ourselves about whether to approve it or not next month on the ballot. So that was unfortunate, but if I'm elected, I'll be working towards that. That was an initiative that was supported by residents, by the environmental community, by government, by the labor trades, small businesses. It was very, very, very well supported, but unfortunately it wasn't successful. So I'm gonna go after that. I'm gonna go after green energy.
Oh, that's an important one, thank you.
Right,
Yes.
right, we have 2 wind farms, or 1 3/4 of a wind farm now. Wayne's got the new one is almost up and running, but I'm gonna see what we can do about that. Also electrifying what we can. So the buses that run around here are all, the big buses are all Suffolk County buses.
Okay.
All of those run on gas.
Yes.
But there's the possibility to either use smaller ones or to purchase buses that run on electricity, on batteries rather, or on plugging in, like EV cars,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
So that's something that I'm committed to as well.
Okay, thank you. In terms of local organizations and programs, what would you say are you most actively a participant in, and what do you think is the most important program or organization that people in the East Hampton or local eastern end of Long Island community should actively participate in?
So right now, the 3 things that I'm quite heavily involved in, I've had to step back a little bit because this campaign takes quite a lot of time, but
Yes.
I'm a board member of the Star Aqua Center, so that would be an indoor pool in Southampton. You guys are lucky because you have the rec center in East Hampton, but you're working on the Playhouse in Montauk that would also have an indoor pool. So, I mean, back in the day, we used to go to Gurney's because that was all there was in the wintertime to swim indoors. That's not possible as much anymore, but to train our lifeguards, for all of us, because you can't learn to swim in the ocean, right?
Yes.
So for all of us that are coastal residents to be able to learn how to swim, it's important to have a pool. The other thing that I'm very involved in is Southampton Volunteer Ocean Rescue. You guys have East Hampton Ocean Rescue, so your organization is bigger and stronger than ours, but it's also been around a lot longer. Ours is more of a fledgling program, but it's got
Okay.
legs. So Ocean Rescue is lifeguards for when the lifeguards aren't on duty. So either before and after the season or before and after the workday. So
Okay.
it's all, well, not all, but mostly ocean certified lifeguards, that some of whom were lifeguards when they were kids, or some that have learned to be lifeguards now. We're first responders basically for accidents in the ocean. The third thing I'm still active in, but not as active as I was, is Surf Rider. So we have a really vibrant chapter of Eastern Long Island Surf Rider on the East End. There's a Surf Rider club
Yes.
at, there's one in the middle school with fifth and sixth grade. Is there one in the high school
Yes.
too?
I do not believe there's one in the high school. I know there's events and local programs that they put on that high schoolers participate in, but I don't yet think there's a club in the high school.
So that is something else that I'm super involved in. There's a beach cleanup, it's far for you, but at Ponquag Beach in Hampton Bays on Saturday, that I'll probably do a swing through, even in the rain.
Yes, sounds good. Thank you. What do you think you will be able to offer as Suffolk County legislature that other members running for that position wouldn't be able to offer?
So I am now in elected office. I have served in elected office for 6 years. I had to learn to work not only with my other board members, there are 5 Southampton Town trustees. In East Hampton, you have 9 East Hampton
wow.
Town trustees.
Okay.
So I had to learn to work with the other board members. And although the trustees typically don't divide along party lines, sometimes our different parties do come into play. So I've learned to work across party lines in order to get all of us to work together to accomplish things. So I feel that I bring that government experience with me. I bring my passion for water quality, the environment, and really our way of life on the East End.
Yes.
There are 18 legislative districts within Suffolk County, so 18 areas. Suffolk County's pretty big.
Wow.
There are 1.5 million people that live in Suffolk County,
Wow.
and I think Suffolk County's population is larger than 11 states. So not 11 states altogether, I think, but 11 individual states. Don't quote me on that because I have to check that. But there are 18 legislators, and there are only 2 on the East End, one on the North Fork and one on the South Fork. So whoever is elected to this position needs to have the foundation of the community at heart in order to be able to speak and to advocate for what we feel is important on
Yes.
the East End.
Yes. Thank you. In terms of water quality and local sanitation, what will you contribute to ensure the longevity of a healthy, clean, and safe environment on the eastern end of Long Island?
So, the upgrading of our septic systems, through the funding stream for that, through the Suffolk County Water Quality Restoration Act, that I'm committed to advancing that. And also, we have to figure out a way to make the process to attain the grants for the funding for individual homeowners a little bit more streamlined.
Interesting.
It is a bit of a process to do that, and I hope that working with the towns and the villages and the community preservation departments within the towns, that working from the county level, that I'll be able to figure out so that it's a little bit more seamless and not quite as much of a process for homeowners that want to do this. That's such a good thing to do, to
Yes.
upgrade their septic system and decrease the amount of nitrogen that's flowing out into the environment. But we're still figuring out that it's still, I wouldn't say it's new, but it's still, we're finding our way with that. So that's something that I'll be working on as well.
Okay, thank you. And what do you feel works well, but then what also could be improved if you were elected as town legislature?
So, I hope that right now, the Suffolk County Legislature consists of, I believe it's 12 Republicans and 6 Democrats. I might have that a little bit backwards. It might be 11 Republicans and 7, but there's a strong majority of Republicans. And I run as a Democrat, but I hope that I'll be able to take my skills working across party lines and bring that with me to the legislature, because right now things are a little tricky there, and just opening up conversations and opening up the pathways of communication is always important, no matter where we are in trying to move things forward, because we all live in Suffolk County,
Yes.
right? And we all want pretty much the same things:
Yes.
clean air, clean water, and a safe place to live.
Yes.
So hopefully working with these others, that will, as I begin to build my relationship with them, that will be possible. And I think that kind of covers both your questions, because that's the building of relationships is what I'll take with me, and the bit of a rift that exists right now in the legislature is what is a bit concerning.
Yes, thank you. And what political risks are you willing to take in the interest of serving our local community?
I had to make the most difficult decision, Kyle, in February of 2023, because I was prepared to run again as a Southampton Town trustee. I was finding my way there, I was accomplishing things, I was learning, our board was working well together, but this opportunity presented itself to me to run for county legislature, and it's not possible to be on the ballot in 2 spots. So I had to make the really difficult decision I will finish out the year as a town trustee,
Yes.
but I'm running as county legislature, so it takes my trustee opportunity away from me. And so that was one thing I had to sort of come around to the realization of that. But then secondly, if I had to prepare myself to lose,
Yes.
because I was giving up my trustee position, and I'm taking the risk of running for county legislature, and I had to, it took some reflection on
Yes.
my part in order to be able to realize that if I were not fortunate enough to win, that it'll still be okay. I'll figure out something else, another door will open, and I'll carry on. But that was a pretty risky thing. I could have stayed happily at town trustee.
Yes.
Yep, run again, hopefully won again, kept on working on what I was doing. But what did somebody say to me? I jumped off a cliff with my parachute on without a ripcord.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
exactly. So I don't think about it quite like that, but that was their description of it.
Yes. Well, and I want to thank you again for taking your time to visit and answer my questions. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Kyle, Your program is amazing and you were an amazing interviewer.
Thank you.
I cannot say enough good about the way just that you conducted yourself, and you did a great job. So thank you, Kyle.
Thank
It's
you,
an
and
honor.
you as well. Appreciate the time.